This is a scrapbook album I started of all the little sports events that Leighton was involved in. It's nice as a mom to go back and reminisce.
Okay, here we go. Scared fucking shitless. Every little ripple you see is a crocodile, you know what I mean?
Leighton was just that type that would push boundaries. Everything he's done, he's taken it to the limit.
Oh, fuck! This was his bike touring in Australia.
Is he gonna attack me? What the hell the pigs do? I have no idea.
Mom phones me and says, your brother's missing.
I don't actually really know where I am.
His used gloves. This was his sparkling white shirt that he bought when he was there.
When I heard he was on a push bike, I thought, well, why would you do that? Because it's bloody dangerous. People do get lost. It's horrendous.
And if I ever want to smell my son, I come down and I can open this bag and smell him. Yeah. I come down here a couple times a month just to have a look at it.
This is Hayden Kenny, who's 9 months old, and he can walk. You go walk to Daddy. Go get his dad. Oh! And this is Leighton Kenny. He's 3 years old and he can walk. Can you walk to Daddy?
Leighton was probably the most curious child you would have ever met.
See, Daddy?
He, at a very young age, as soon as he could start talking, would ask, why?
Can you say hi to Grampy and Grammy?
Hi, Grampy.
It's time you to stop sucking your thumb.
I just like your son. Why can't he talk to me?
People would look at me strangely thinking, what is this 4-year-old asking me questions for? But that's just the way he was.
There's the hood. Look at the trunk missing.
He was always pulling apart engines and fixing and tearing apart anything he could tear apart.
Carburetor getting clean. Corey, hold it up there, fuck. Oh.
It didn't matter if it was a bicycle or a snowmobile or a quad. He wanted to know what made them wheels turn, and he'd like to know about horsepower and how can you get more out of this.
Leighton!
I called Leighton Grasshopper. I named him that because he was always roaming around all the time. He wouldn't sit still.
Here we go. This is Leighton Kenny and Carson Foskey putting on a plate. It's the old-fashioned way of branding a cow.
We're about 6 months apart when we grew up almost like brothers. Not only were we family, but we were best friends. Leighton was very strong-willed, just determined. I mean, he couldn't really be told if he had something on his mind, he'd do it.
Thank you very much for broadcasting me, Leighton Kenny.
That was Karsten and Leighton. We the man!
Me and Leighton, we were always doing something, whether it be shooting gophers or fishing. And then we got our licenses, and then we started getting into trouble. We actually loved to get into fist fights at the bars all the time. We got ourselves into trouble with girls too, between each other. Trust me, those fights had been had.
Leighton loved to have a good time, loved to arm wrestle. He was the tough guy of the group, call it. If somebody was getting picked on, he's usually the guy that'd kind of step in there.
Get crushed here. Kick some Felsky's ass here, fuck. Oh yeah. Fucking foot.
Hit him, Kenny. Holy shit. You heard about this competition, we knew about it growing up. Are you tough enough? Last man standing. And yeah, he trained for like 6 months. And we're weighing in, and then the guy that he's facing is this guy of the penitentiary, and he's just a monster of a man. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, I can't show Leighton, I'm nervous. But he took off this bathrobe, and it was just like, oh my God. But, you know, Leighton got in there, and he stood in there to the bitter end. They both went down a few times. Got a hell of a match, it was good.
He by no means was on the honor roll, but he got through school, and Leighton got into mechanics right away.
And so the block, it would be this big thing right at, like on below all this stuff right here.
With our group of friends, our dads were always in the trucking business or the heavy construction business, whether it be operators, mechanics. We all kind of just grew into it, right?
I got the main
right here.
Where? Can't see. My penis is the main jewel.
Lots of times we'd come to the shop here after school and help the guys fixing stuff for a couple hours, and then once all the work was done, we would stick around and work on our vehicles.
It's in the blood, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Leighton started work at Fort McMurray in northern Alberta, and that's where he got a position as a heavy-duty mechanic. He signed a 3-year contract and really enjoyed it for the first couple of years. One time he sent me a picture standing on the inside of a rim of a tire. Just the rim of the tire was 8 feet high. The trucks were like high-rise buildings. Right after he started working Fort McMurray, he says, Mom and Dad, I'm gonna buy myself a house. So he bought a house at the golf course at Candle Lake.
The pay is amazing. Him and TJ went out and they bought these quads, and like at the time, quad was like $8,000, and they got like these $18,000 quads. They had more money than any guy their age knew what to do with.
That's fucking awesome car.
Me and Leighton worked together for 4 years. Always worked hard, lots of hours. I remember pulling 24-hour shifts with the guy.
Whether it's mentally or physically, I mean, that lifestyle, you can only live so long. If you can imagine when you're minus 40 and you get called out to do an oil change or change a track pad on a piece of equipment that's a solid piece of steel, and you got to put your hands on that, move that, and do that all day for 12 hours a day, 14, 21 days straight. Most people would break, but those guys, they somehow did it. I don't know, maybe alcohol and caffeine and who knows what else. And you'd see him, you know, he was, I wouldn't say the drunkest guy there, but he would drink to blackout drunk. He had some demons inside.
In Fort McMurray, you would be 1 week in and 1 week out. So he would commute from Prince Albert, and it was about a 9-hour drive one way. And he said he couldn't stand it anymore. It was physically making him sick. He said, you know, I'm going to do something different. He said, I'm going to think about this, but I've got to make some changes in my life.
I think he just got tired of it. And just realized that there's more to life than just going to work and then coming home and then going to work and then coming home.
He come to me, and I remember, and he said, Dad, he'd like to maybe go start traveling, but I didn't know what he really meant. In our minds, like, we thought he probably had one of the best jobs you could get.
He said, I'm going to go to Indonesia. Well, we said, well, how long are you going to be in Indonesia? I don't know.
Most people, you know, maybe I cut back my hours, maybe I take care of myself, maybe I, you know, make some better decisions. But his was like, you know, I worked extra hard, saving money, I'm quitting everything.
They were paying bonuses to get people to go up there to work, and he disliked it so much that he actually repaid back his bonus.
He found somebody to rent his house, sold all his material possessions. You know, he had a snowmobile, a quad. He had a 69 Beaumont car. And that's when Darren and I started talking, saying, he's really serious about this. I mean, he's selling everything. It was hard for us to accept. And so we did have family and friends talk to him and say, you know, honestly, are you crazy? But then he just kept traveling and he started making his videos.
Being in the Delhi airport in India, having your bags lost, then finding them, and then being late for your flight, but then it's already been delayed, so you might get on it, and you don't really know.
So it took us all quite some time to get on board with him and realize he's not going to be like the rest of us. He's not working towards retirement.
Hey girls, how about that tuk-tuk ride?
Then you have to become supportive with that.
I had told him there's a lot more to see in this world. I've got family all over the world, and I've traveled to all these places, and I've been and I've seen different things.
Would you ever believe that there would be 2 bulls on the stairs?
It was kind of just, hey man, if that's what you want to do, then have fun and come back alive.
He was a smart kid, so I didn't worry about him at first.
She did try to stop, but I didn't let her, and she's getting the sense of reward now.
You knew he was going, and so you kind of like gave him some rope. You're like, okay, you get this out of your system, take care of yourself. You're searching for whatever you need, and you're gonna come home.
Oh, check out this cool road. This is happening while I'm speaking to you. Whoa.
Sometimes he intentionally said he was not going to communicate with anybody, not realizing how hard that is on your mom. His grandfather, my dad would ask, well, where's Leighton today? How is he today? I'd say, oh, he's okay, Dad. I didn't want my dad to know. I don't know. I haven't talked to him for 2 weeks. I stopped looking. I would just go look on the world map to see where he was. I stopped researching what goes on in those countries because I wouldn't get any sleep.
He'd continue his Central America adventure, and he'd push through El Salvador, Guatemala, and then I think he came across a crop or something.
He was somewhere where he shouldn't have been, and some cartel or drug people, they were chasing him down.
He said he had to cross a creek, he could hear dogs and other things, and they had guns, and at one point he got up into the tree and had to wait 2 days in this tree until they finally left the area. That's when I had one of those real tough talks, and I said, like, this is enough.
It doesn't sound like he listened, though.
No, I didn't listen at all. I mean, right after that he went to Australia.
Crab track, well-equipped four-wheel drives only past the Daintree River crossing. I just stopped at the village and everybody said impossible, crazy, don't go. Rainy, worse weather, crocodiles, police, not possible whatsoever under any conditions right now currently. What are you gonna do? Stop, turn around? Gotta try. How would you ever know? Snap, and you get eaten. Oh fuck, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. This is fucking super nerve-wracking. Okay, here we go. Scared fucking shitless. Every little ripple you see is a crocodile, you know what I mean?
I don't want to go into the jungle. I'm not interested in the jungle whatsoever. No. My family is from Guyana, and we were told when you stay out of the jungle.
Oh, my heart's pounding.
Certain places you just should not go.
Yes. Thank you, God. That was nuts. Oh.
When I first saw that, I'm thinking to myself, like, is he really mentally okay? You know, you don't want to say anything to anybody else, but in my head, I'm thinking, is he okay, really?
I don't think you should really be there, you know? And you're not doing that for anybody, just yourself. Like, I never see my son doing that kind of a thing just to say he done it. It's,
Oh, this climb on Newman's Track from the highway to Jameson to Mount Terrible, they call it, is absolutely brutal. I haven't even touched the pedals once.
He posted on social media there the letter to his mom. Yeah, immediately I was concerned to hear that, you know, he was going to do something so extreme that, I mean, locals thought it was crazy.
Dear Mom, I've been thinking about how you say I always push myself too hard. I have tried to accept this, but I can't. I feel like I need the challenge and the rush I get when I face the unknown. My next challenge will be the Australian Divide. After I heard about the route that spanned over 5,000 kilometers from the bottom of the country all the way to the top, I knew I had to try and bike tour it. Nobody here thinks one man on a bicycle is capable of the mountain crossing between Marysville and Omeo without veering off the trail. I won't say goodbye because I know I can do it, but I'm warning you now that I will be gone for a while. I have to find my limit. Love you, Mom. Leighton. Gut-wrenching for me to look at that again.
I have to find my limit.
If that was my child, I would be very, I don't know, my mind would go to the worst place instantly.
Okay, this is absolutely disgusting. I had this big, huge leech here that I couldn't get to come off. Finally came off full of blood. And I pulled my sock open and look at this. They're just breeding inside on my feet. Oh my God. This is what it's like to hike in the rainforest. And I was wondering why my foot was so itchy. They got inside there.
When we were growing up, Leighton always had to push the limit of everything he did. I never thought he would take it as far as he did, but I've always seen that adventure side of him.
Look at this beautiful sandwich, just honey come up. Where's the, oh, there's the mold. Look at that. Okay, watch, you ready? Here we go. Because, honey, because you're bike touring and you have to. There's no grocery store.
Tell me about this phone call to say he's not checked in and he's missing.
Well, I think my wife found him first. And she tells me.
I don't actually really know where I am. But I don't actually have a map of the area or any way of knowing how long it'll take me to get out of here. It's nice to have an idea, a little bit of comfort when you have no map as to when you think you're gonna get out. Okay.
So I received a Facebook message from a friend of his in Norway saying, "Have you heard from Leighton?" And I said, "I have not. It's been over a week." He said, "I know he was going to go do this tour, but I have not heard from him." He goes, "Well, I'm concerned." Because he said he always checks in and he's 4 days or something behind in checking in. "I'm going to check with another gal." So he did, and I received a message back and he said, she hasn't heard from him either. Then finally I got a message from his cousin Michelle, who is over in Australia. She had posted, "Has anybody seen my cousin? He's missing." I thought, oh my God, this is real.
The first that I understood that there was a Canadian on a push bike that was missing was early February. And, in the middle of February, we can have snowstorms. We've had floods in the last 2 years. We've had horrendous bushfires that would be incredibly difficult, let alone impossible, to get out. And it's good 1 minute, bad the next. Because we got information that he was travelling between Marysville, then to Dargo, and then to Omeo. I've driven it a few times. There's no way I'd get on a push bike. And you think you're going on a path, and then all of a sudden it turns into 3 paths in which one are you supposed to take?
Well, I've completely run out of water for the first time on this trip. I have nothing. The view is pretty nice, but to be honest, my legs, they're really starting to get cramped up. I can tell it's the onset of dehydration. My mouth dry, hard to swallow. Terrible. Legs are heavy, motivation, energy, everything down. Body shutting down, wants me to sleep.
I just remember thinking, like, you idiot, like, what have you done to yourself?
It was all our worst nightmare. Like, this is my brother I never had. This is my the guy that was my best man that we stuck by, did everything together.
I'm watching shows on TV where people have children missing and they going over to foreign countries to try and find their children. I thought, is that going to be me?
Were you missing?
I was reported missing. I can't even go for a beer in Australia and I'm in group chat.
What were the cops like when they found you?
He just like Mr. Keddy, and I was like, man, if a cop knows your name, you did something wrong. And I was like, how do you know? And he's like, we've been looking for you. On my map, it labeled that there was a gold mine, and my GoPro was out of batteries. So the plan was to go into where this mining area was, find somewhere that there was electricity, and I would plug my GoPro batteries in and charge them. And there was a police officer sitting on that road waiting in case Leighton Keddy did surface. I don't know if people understand the difference in the attitude of people from Australia versus Canadians, but they're not scared to say what's on their opinion. So this guy for sure thought I was a dickhead in Australian words, and for sure thought that I was some stupid Canadian who had no idea what he was doing, and I was gonna wreck the name of Australian tourism by thinking that I could go out and survive in the bush, and I was probably hurt, dead, or dying, was what he thought. And I was nonchalantly just going to charge my GoPro batteries.
He was found in Woods Point by the local police member there, and he just cleared his name and sent him on his merry way. My first sightings of Leighton in Omeo was only about 1 kilometre from town, and as I understand after, Leighton saw me before I saw him, quickly got off his bike because he thought he'd get in trouble for not wearing a helmet.
So the police are now pulling me over, but not for anything bad. I get to follow Officer Diana back to her place, and she's gonna give me a place to stay and help me map out a sick bike route because she's a bike tourer too. You guys have like the typical like country home, hey, it's beautiful.
We started to talk about where Leighton was from, Saskatchewan, and my husband's Canadian and from Saskatchewan. So we narrowed it down to Carrot River, and 80 kilometres is Prince Albert, where Leighton's from.
This bus looks so legit. You can park anywhere you want. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
You didn't even say nothing. I put the stupid signs up there for you.
What sign? Oh, I didn't even see it. Oh, man.
That's nice, eh?
Yeah.
What do you think about Leighton?
I was thinking how extremely safe our roads are. There's no goats running across. There's no random million people, cars broken down, buses trying to attack people. Feels safe. Feels like safe like home.
He never once told us when he was coming home. He never gave any indication of when he was coming home at all.
What are you looking forward to the most?
Spend some time with the family, settle down a little bit, take a few breaths, relax, if you will.
Hey, Mama.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Oh, I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
DK.
Hey, son.
Hey, Skinny. How's it going, D?
Going good. Just happy to have you home.
Love you, Pops.
How does it feel to be home?
Feels like a big change to be home.
Why?
Well, I just went from one world to a totally different world. I mean, it happens in less than a day. Bro, good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, man. Baby Reese.
Let's see. Do you know who I am?
You've seen your picture a few times.
Definitely seeing Reese has been the biggest joy for me. That was my biggest motivation to return home, was to see him and hold him. Just as soon as I hold him, I remember when you were a little kid and how you smelled, and he smells the exact same.
Well, come on in. Let's
go inside?
Let's
Okay.
pour a drink or something.
I'll take it.
Man, what's it like being a dad?
It's good.
I believe like when I go traveling, there's an adaptability to it, so I change my clothing, the way I'll talk and tell stories, and the same thing goes for when I come home. It's the first time I've seen my wrist and this tattoo without having wristbands on. All the bands were gifts from people I met along the way. Look at the size of this thing. In the last few years, I've spent 3 years working and traveling across Australia and Tasmania, and then I spent another 1.5 years in Papua New Guinea. I've spent most of the last year of my life in South America again.
Mama, I did it. Your boy made it to the Panama Canal. There it is.
Cramps.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, what are we gonna finish? We can finish
Let's
putting
finish that one.
all the weights on and then finish putting the rest on.
Within Prince Albert, I'm probably related to 300 people, if not more. I'm lowballing that, but I'm safe to say 300. We love getting together. There's always somebody trying to plan a family reunion, and you think, man, I belong to a big community.
How many people coming?
We have, Corbin, did we count 42 adults and 15 kids? So just about 60.
Just a small dinner for Auntie Betty.
You ought to be very excited.
Yeah, I am. Only because he hasn't been home for anything special. He's missed so many weddings and so many birthdays and so many everything. And I'm even more excited because my dad is 85 and I don't know how much longer he'll be around. That's the reality of it. And I'm really glad that he's home to spend some time and see his grandpa.
Well, that thing's got no miles on it at all.
This thing looks brand new.
It is.
Let's do it.
That's why I'm going to make that carrot cake and we can sing happy birthday to him for the 10 or 12 years he hasn't been home. Now we can maybe show him our love and show him he's missed and we think about him.
Even though his birthday's in April. I think we're good.
Thank you, honey, for doing all of that.
Yeah, no problem.
When he comes home, what do you guys do?
Honestly, it's just like old times, so we'll hang out, get out in the boat, do a little fishing, campfire stories, and just catch up on life.
Did you already grill up the fish?
It's all right to rock whenever you want to. So, Caddy, you gonna start telling us your stories now?
We're always pushing like, hey man, like tell us some of your stories. Like we want to hear some of this stuff. It's fun for us to hear because, you know, we have great lives and everything, but we're not doing crazy stuff like that.
Guy goes out hunting for the day, comes back with a turtle, a toucan, a wild turkey from the Amazon. Just like, here you go, let's go eat now. That's un toucan. ¿Cómo se dice shoot? ¿A dónde? Acá. Hey, qué bueno. I ate frog for the first time.
And how did that taste?
Better than pork ribs.
Okay.
Aquí está la cabeza de la rana. Here's the frog's head. Here we go. Lengua, tongue.
Oh. Aquí estoy con la piernita de la rana. A ver, dale.
Pero bien rico.
How hardcore are they? Like, obviously some are pretty hardcore.
Nobody's
Like,
more hardcore in Papua New Guinea. It's impossible.
Is that right, eh?
Those guys just eat you when they're confused or scared. You know what I mean? Like, and they're built like Mike Tyson.
It's a different mindset. If we went to some tourist destination, we're like, oh, fuck this. We flew in on a plane, we're expecting this. But for Caddy, Caddy, it's a total different fucking ballgame.
It's a whole other animal.
Yeah, we're princesses.
Yeah. Where's my margarita?
One of the most terrified travel times, I was sleeping outside of a small town in Costa Rica. I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a guy reaching over top of me and I instantly knew that he was robbing me. So I jumped up and I chased after him and there was a house nearby and we went around that house together. And when I got to the other side, there was 2 more people waiting there. So this guy and his 2 friends, 3 now, are charging at me. And I was going for them thinking, I don't care. I'm full adrenaline, like we're about to get it on. But then they pulled out knives. And when I'm looking at them coming at me, making these stabbing sort of motions, I'm realizing that they have my knives. So then I'm being chased by these guys who have my own knives and completely naked.
He doesn't worry about the consequences because he knows he won't have the adventure if he worries about the consequences.
I think if it was the right person talking to him about it, yeah, he'd probably sit back and think about it. But I mean, again, it's with Leighton, he gets something in his head and there's no arguing with the guy.
You got fucking balls, man. I'll give you that.
I would be.
Remember I called you after some
you told me that. You're like,
incidents?
Kenny,
I was like,
you're
if
like,
Felsky was in
Felsky's-
this situation, his heart would actually explode out of just sheer fear.
He knows enough that we're all genuinely concerned what he's doing is probably hurting us. But whatever's burning inside is stronger. But I also think if he didn't do what he was doing, he'd probably be back in that lifestyle and on drugs or dead or something else. He, whatever he's chasing, it keeps him alive.
Come on, Meg.
over there somewhere.
Magpie.
You go to so many functions and there's so many people. And I thought, is that driving him away? But it's not. He loves it.
How many are you guys going for?
If it's a girl, we're done.
Yeah.
I would say.
I would say.
I would say if it's a girl, we're done.
He loves kids and wants to have a relationship with our kids. So I think a little bit of that is starting to affect him.
Listening. We're supposed to rile everybody up to go eat.
Oh, nice. I think at some point, you know, the switch is gonna flip and like, wow, that was cool stuff I did, but now what?
Layton would like to say something, and then we'll have Grace and supper, okay?
I didn't really sleep well last night, just thinking about how everybody was gathering here. And I spent all night, honestly, writing this. When I look in everyone's eyes, I feel inspired and alive. DK, I hate replacing starters. But I'd replace 1 million more to drive around in the truck that my hero used to drive. Mama Bear, you're an angel. We all know it. I know you'll never allow yourself to think that you were anywhere near as caring and loving as Grandma was, but you are. You have her light too. Where's my bro? Hayde, you idolized me growing up. There was a time when everything you wanted out of life was to be just like me. And I know I never let you down, but you watched me go my own way while accepting the fact that you had to go your own way too. And when I see you now, I want you to know that I was with you every step of the way, proud as hell to be your older brother. Now you inspire me.
Oh, oh my goodness.
It's spring. Everybody smile. Today's March 1st. Hayden's first day out walking in the dry sidewalk.
Oh no.
Growing up, Layton and Hayden, like any siblings, they had all their disagreements, but Layton and his friends, they always included him because they all had the same interests. Their adult life, they're the opposite. Layton's always looking to talk to people and ask questions. Hayden's okay with just meeting people and having conversations, but he's not specifically going to look for it.
Hayden's like your strong, quiet type. You're dependable, family man. He doesn't need a whole bunch to be happy and kind of figure things out. He's got it.
Just about done. Taking a while. Looks good though.
What drives me is that I need to be constantly stimulated by not being in the same area where my brother doesn't. He's perfectly content here, never leaving this particular area.
This is half an hour east of PA, Prince Albert, and we're looking at the South Saskatchewan River. In the edge of my yard, we're right on the edge of my yard. I try to come here every day. Nice peaceful spot, it's away from everybody. There's not many places left like this.
As beautiful it is, would Layton ever want to live?
I don't think so, never. He's got his thing, I got mine. My parents live between here and PA. They love me being here too. Right. I drive by them every day. I now feel more responsible for certain things because he's gone, 100%. I've told him you don't need to be doing this for years at a time. I'm here through thick and thin, hard times, good times, I'm here.
Do you think there's ever going to get a point where you're going to have a conversation with him about it?
I hope by then he'll know to come home. He should end up at home, I think. This is home.
Have you told him that?
No, I haven't told him that.
the only person that I've spoken to so far who says he thinks you should be here?
Otto.
No? Your brother.
Really? I didn't know that.
I think he's conscious of the fact that at some point your parents are going to be needing help. Do you think about that?
I think about it sometimes. And my current outlook is that in the near future, that they do not need help. So I'm not going to stress over 10 years from now when I for sure think they're good for the next 5. This is not my home. My home to me, when I'm asked, is when I have my tent and my mattress on my bicycle and I am on that apparatus. That is my home. There is no question. I sleep better, feel better when it is me and my stuff.
I'm sure it frustrates Hayden at times, and you can't count on Lake because who the hell even knows where he is. And I think, yeah, as a sibling, it pissed me off too, you know, that he's not there to help as much as he could or should be.
He's left picking up the pieces, and he's the only boy left. When you think of it that way, it maybe makes you change how your decision making.
I guess knowing that Hayden feels about that way, he's not going to have the conversation with you and you're not going to have the conversation with him though, right?
That's unsaid. I don't know what he expects. First ever drive-in liquor store in Saskatchewan. Like the richest guy in PA. Once that went up, it was insane. There I could go and get eggs or milk or bread for my mom on credit, and I'd write my name down. Maybe she wanted cigarettes, maybe she didn't. But I could be like a 5-year-old kid, go there, write it down, and then take it and go. And then this house here, that's where we grew up. Like that was my parents' first house, and we lived in there forever.
Hi, Grandma Grandpa.
My dad built a garden in the back. There was a shed, which is still there. I remember he got us a couple little bicycles. We worked on them there.
Hayden wants to watch.
He had a really cool stereo in the basement, so we used to have, like, I remember Bob Marley records, Creedence Clearwater, there was AC/DC, Rush, April Wine, and that was it for years and years. Yeah, that was a cool house. Lots of good memories. While I'm here, I'm gonna go work a little bit for my family with the Otto and the Ruskowskis and try and get the best work I can from him. I like the system of getting up early, going to work, 12-hour day, getting in a routine. It's healthy for the mind once in a while.
Hey, Cuz.
Cuz!
Bring it in.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Man, it's good to see the Medill.
Yeah.
Haven't seen the equipment in a while.
He's a very good mechanic, so I was hoping he'd, stick out with us for however long he's home. We want to just do like a good check over on the engines, the swing motors and all that kind of stuff. Hydraulic lines, all just like a really good head to toe, basically.
I mean, I'll get to work with Hayden on the project, or what?
Yeah, you'll be working with Hayden.
This is exactly what I would be interested in working on. You got me.
Yeah,
I'm coming to work,
sweet, man.
for sure.
Okay.
This is what I love to do. Take big stuff apart and put it back together. So right now, what I'm trying to figure out is how I'm gonna get from Lima, Peru to the coastline in Brazil. I'd like to try and make it there for Christmas is my plan. So if I'm back by end of November, early December, gives myself 4 weeks, something like that. My plan is to work for 3 months and go to Peru and hop on a motorcycle and bike to Brazil. But the thing is, I'm not just gonna pick the straight line, easiest way. I gotta pick what's gonna be the most adventurous, what's gonna be the most scenic along the way. What I'll go and do is something like the most dangerous roads in the country or the most adventure routes, and that's realistically where the planning lies. How am I gonna make it exciting versus just taking the route Google tells me, because that'll be boring as hell.
Feels a bit weird that you've only just had your homecoming party and you're already planning to leave.
It's sort of like planning the way out.
You think it's weird?
I think it's necessary. Best idea of my life, buying a motorbike. Check out the view, look at the mountains everywhere around me. Absolutely stunning.
Give me, in one sentence, why you do what you do.
I do it because if I don't, I won't be happy.
Carson said that you do it because if you don't, you'd be dead.
That's a good answer.
What does he mean by that?
I'd go fucking crazy. Or I'd be dead inside. It depends how you want to look, how Carson said it. Could be both ways. Both are kind of the same thing, really.
Now that I have a son, I can see that it would be very tough for your son to go away and not know where he is and his safety.
How do I get across this bridge? It's the sketchiest piece of shit I have ever seen in my life.
I say to him, why don't you start doing something different? And he says, no, Mom, I'm not ready to do that. And so we don't get into many of those conversations anymore.
Sometimes I think, this guy's batshit crazy, but then I look in and I see him and he's probably lived more lives than, all of us combined.
Look at this. Boom! I'm literally a 6-year-old child, but I'm in an adult's body. I tried growing up, wasn't my thing. Went back down to being a kid, loved it. 80 kilometers, unpaved, single lane, mountain, hardcore.
It's kind of like a Peter Pan attitude, don't it?
Yeah, a little bit like Peter Pan, but yeah. Never thought of it that way.
I've now put over 5,000 kilometers on my motorcycle. I'm in Ecuador. I'm in the Andes.
It's time to make up your mind what you're going to do. You're 35 years old, and it's time to grow up in plain English.
Mis amigos de Venezuela, ya! Eso!
Some people are slow learners.